policy that could be construed as antinatalist is as under the classification of antinatalism, then sure, I guess I can.
Well, what else is it?
It's a human rights issue. It's a healthcare issue. I don't think any woman.
No, I mean, what else is antinatalism?
Oh, what else? To me, the way I think of it is like an ideology. Are you
what
saying
is the ideology for?
What do you mean?
Isn't the ideology to stop reproduction?
To me, antinatalism would be, like an ideology that it is better to...
abortion stops reproduction.
But it's not an ideological thing. It's better to have fewer children. Of course it is. Of course it's an ideological thing. No, I think that the people who are fighting for abortion rights are not fighting for it because we should curtail reproduction. I think it's because whether you agree with this or not,
because they don't want the responsibility of children.
No, because women will die. They'll get unsafe abortions.
There's very few women who have to deal with a pregnancy which is life-threatening. Very few.
That is not true. I do not think that's true.
The majority of abortions are not done due to life-threatening pregnancies.
I can agree with you that the majority of abortions
aren't. Well, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Sure.
So, but even then, the majority of pregnancies, are not life-threatening. Just
not
so
life-threatening,
but also on the abortion front, no, very few abortions have anything to do with saving the mother's life. Almost none, in fact.
Yeah,
they're the exception to the rule.
I'm saying the people who are arguing for it, these feminist think tanks are not.
They want it up to 9 months.
They're not, but they're not coming at it with the ideology.
What else could they be coming at it with if they want an abortion at 9 months? That's not health care.
Autonomy, the right to choose things along those lines.
All
feminism,
but that's what antinatalism, the ideology, is about. It's about
autonomy.
It's
and
about
women's
reducing
right to choose.
the burden on women and on society from other human beings. It's a reduction of the burden. It requires necessarily that you reduce the population. Of course, abortion's antinatalist. Of course, the pill is antinatalist. All of these things are antinatalism. There's no, I don't know how you would argue.
I mean, maybe that's just my misunderstanding of what antinatalism is.
Yeah.
Just one question on the abortion topic.
Yeah.
Do you think that, is there a cutoff for you in terms of, when women can get abortion? Should it be up until the point of right up until birth, or what's your position there?
No, I would say the cutoff for me would be at the point where
viability
delivering is an option.
Okay.
If there is a, for instance, if there was a medical emergency, preeclampsia, something like that, if the child can actually be delivered, I would say in that case that you should default to delivery. But there are children.
But would you consider it murder if you didn't?
No.
No. Well, then why? So then what's? I don't understand this. Maybe you can help me out with this.
Yeah.
Why is it, other than just, I don't know, some preference for ick, that if I ask you if the law says they can get an abortion at 7 months, you say, no, I prefer that they have it then. I go, okay, but let's assume the law says that they don't have to. Do you consider that murder? You say no. How is that not?
I think that murder is the taking of the life of a person, and I really don't think you have personhood until after birth.
Even at 9 months?
Yeah, I mean, I would say.
Do you have to go through the canal? Like, what if your head doesn't quite crown and they just put a shotgun up there? Like, is that
I would
murder?
not like to see that happen. No, I think once their head is out of the canal, yes.
Okay, but it's not quite there, right? It's going. They're about to do a push, and he walks in and he just blasts. That's not murder. I'm honest. I want to question. That's not murder.
I think in that case, he would probably end up killing the woman too. But
no, it's a concentrated blast.
No, I think that would be murder.
That would be murder, but not the day before.
No. I mean, you have to make a distinction.
How is that consistent?
You have to make a distinction somewhere, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you believe so you believe in no abortion?
When is it a human life?
A human life? I think the possibility of human life begins at conception. I think personhood is different from human life.
And what makes a person? Being
born.
That's it?
No, I think there's biological aspects to personhood, absolutely. So a fetus does have the biological aspects of personhood, but I think there's social aspects, the ability to be a social being, have interactions with other human beings.
Okay, so people in coma aren't people?
People in what?
People in a coma aren't people?
No, there's other aspects as well, like the ability to rationalize, to have an awareness of yourself.
People in comas can't rationalize?
I mean, do we take people in comas off life support all the time?
Yeah, but we also leave them alive, and if...
Living_, donated $200. Nobody disputes men are the physical enforcers. The issue is the implication. If women control men's actions, women would be the actual enforcement arm, men would just be the proxy. Also prove God PLS.
Thank you, Living. Appreciate it. If you guys want to continue on with your point, though, go ahead.
Yeah.
So we were discussing why it is that the day that the shotgun goes up, that's no bueno, that's murder. But the day before, it's not.
Yeah, because I mean, I think you have to make a distinction somewhere. It's inevitable. I mean, you could make the distinction at the day before birth or 2 days before, but you're always going to run into the question of why. And I do think that there are certain... I mean, okay, so if you had the choice between... There's a woman, she is like 27 weeks pregnant, and you can either perform an abortion on her personally, or you could kill a 2-year-old child. You have to do one or the other. Which are you doing?
If you had to do...
Yeah, you have to either personally perform an abortion.
So from my perspective, these are morally equal. They're morally equal.
Okay, so which would you do? You have to do one.
Well, they're morally equal. So whichever one I picked, from my perspective...
you have to do one. Pick one.
Well, okay, I would pick the abortion, and I would also pick the other one if the abortion
You're going for
wasn't
both?
available. Yeah.
Overachiever,
They're morally equivalent.
Okay.
So you're asking me about a morally equivalent question.
But that's why I'm asking you.
Okay, now let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay. If...
SPK donated $200. Your baby is due in less than a month and you want to keep it. Someone physically assaults you and the baby dies, but you are barely hurt. What should the criminal be charged with?
Just to show you why that dichotomy doesn't work, remember I did just answer your question, told you which one I would do, right?
You said you would do both, but...
Okay, no, I'll do the abortion.
Okay.
Now...
Should we have her do the...
Hang on, I'm almost done.
Okay.
Well, let me just ask you the same
we'll
question back. Would you rather essay a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old?
What the...
What?
I'm sorry. I got it. Damn, bro.
But that becomes a question of sexual assault.
No. Answer the question like I did.
But
if you're going to make a false bifurcation for a choice, and I actually answer it,
bifurcation.
It is. What do you mean it's not? If you had to do X or you had to do this, which one would you do? I just gave you the same question back. Now you answer. Which one would you rather essay?
That's not the same question.
I didn't say it's the same question. It's the same logic.
You're doing two different things. One is an abortion. One is
doing two different things here too. And what we're looking for is which one you think is more morally abhorrent.
Either.
When I told you these are morally equivalent to me, you said that's not good enough. You have to choose one. Okay, so I chose one. You're saying these things are morally equivalent to me. Okay, choose one.
Okay.
Which one?
I mean, fair. I don't think that. See, I don't think that they're morally equivalent. When I ask that question, if I can pull the same answer and say they're morally equivalent, yes, I think that essay is wrong regardless of age.
Right. Okay, so murder is wrong regardless of age.
I don't think that abortion is murder.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that if you offer a false dichotomy or a bifurcation for a hypothetical, just remember that I can ask one back the exact same way to test your logic.
But I don't think it's false. I don't think that it is, because I think that there is a difference. So maybe it was wrong to try to test you that way because you genuinely believe.
At 9 months, I just want to be clear. If a 9-month pregnant woman who's slated to give delivery the next day gets gunned down outside and robbed, that the guy's only going to get charged with the murder of the mom.
I think that I don't really think that the murder of a pregnant person should be considered a double homicide. We do consider it that. I think so, but I don't agree with that. I don't think that. I mean, like I said, you have to draw the line somewhere, and for me, that would be
has
birth.
To come out.
Yeah, I mean. Do you believe in like no exceptions, no abortion?
I would be willing. So this may be where I deviate. I would say if there's a threat to the mother's life, which is a non-objectionable threat, meaning we can prove that this is going to cause serious problems to the mom, that in that case, it could be a legitimate medical procedure. I think that that's a rational position. I can understand pushback to the position, but I think it's rational. It seems irrational to me that you can make the determination that a baby is fully formed, conscious, and everything else at 9 months, but that the day before it's born can be aborted and it's not murder. That's irrational, because at this point you are the only reason you would say it would be murder the next day is because you have formed it that as a person. But what is the distinction? It still has to be a person the day before. How could you get around that logic?
But I think you could still find distinctions to be made even in the case of like medical exceptions. So like what is a medical emergency? Like when does it become emergent? Can you give her...
Yeah, that's why you would need to be hyper-specific about which cases could be considered that and which ones could not.
But I mean, there's always going to be, I think you're going to have to make an arbitrary distinction because...
well, arbitrary
Noah
means without
donated
system.
$200. If I end a pregnant woman, I can be charged for 2 murders. But an abortion is not a murder.
Schrodinger's
feminist.
Schrodinger's feminist.
But I don't think that it should be a double homicide. So maybe some do, but
Did we
I
get
don't.
to address the previous
No, we
GTS
didn't.
that
We
came in?
didn't. We were going
So
back
basically, your baby is due in less than a month, and you want to keep it. This is from SPK. Thank you, and also thank you, Noah. Someone physically assaults you, and the baby dies, but you are barely hurt. What should the criminal be charged with?
Assault of a pregnant woman.
But I do think you did answer the question, because you said that you wouldn't consider it a double homicide.
I wouldn't consider it a double homicide, but I
Okay.
think that our legal system
But
does.
it's still
yeah.
an illogical position because you are assigning it personhood just the day after. And so you would have to, I don't understand what makes it not a person the day before.
I mean, what makes a person not able to consent to sex before the age of 18?
Okay,
we
so
decided
when you're
that.
talking, when you're
In
talking,
law,
hang on,
sometimes-
when you're talking about that, fine. I would even concede you could make a case that that's arbitrary or without system. But in this case, you're agreeing that this is a life the day after. I'm asking for the distinction that doesn't make it a life the day before.
I mean, I do think it's somewhat arbitrary. I think that you have...
So there's nothing?
I think that you have to draw the line somewhere. I mean, no, I don't think there really is anything. But
There's
also...
nothing. So the only thing
I
that
don't
makes it
think-
not a life the day before
I don't believe in
is
abortion up
nothing.
until the moment of birth. First of all, that doesn't happen.
But you just said you did.
Did I say that
You
I think
did.
it should
You
be
said
legal?
it has to come out before.
Oh, well, I think it has to come out to be considered a person. I don't think that, well, like I said, first of all, I don't think that women are getting abortions up until the
I'm not
point
saying
of
that
birth.
they are. But that doesn't mean that there's not
But I said
women
that
who don't.
I think he asked, and I said that I think that up until like viability, basically, like if it could be delivered without complication.
Yeah, but there was a
yeah.
counter to that, which was when I asked you, okay, but the law says, let's say you can have it up to 9 months. If they go ahead and follow the law and do have it, is that murder? And you said no. And so at that point, you're giving it justification. So you don't really believe, or whatever your belief is that they should is just arbitrary as well. They just should because I think they should, right?
No, I mean, there is no like biological consensus on when personhood begins, or philosophical consensus on when.
No, there is a
begins.
Well, personhood. When you say personhood, that doesn't mean anything. That's just nonsense.
No, it's a
Human-
it's a legal concept. I mean, we don't give rights to
But the reason it's
non-persons.
nonsense is because you can never tell me what a person is.
There's no consensus. I mean, it's
Consensus
continually...
is not a thing we need to appeal to make a determination about what is true and
Then
what is not.
How do we...
Consensus, in fact, appealing to consensus would be an argument ad populum. It would be fallacious in and of itself. You could tell me what a person is without appealing to a majority. What is it?
Like I said, I think there are a number of aspects to it. I don't know, but in law...
So you don't know...
No, I don't know.
Hang on. You don't know what a person is. You don't know when a person's formed. You don't know when a person should be born, but you're okay with people taking out fetuses at the 9 month. Is that the case? I don't know when they're a person. I don't know when we should stop abortions. And I don't consider an abortion at 9 months the day before it to be murder.
You didn't say the day before, but the day before, no, I do think that would be distasteful to me. Just my
Would it be
intuition.
murder?
No, I don't. Think
Okay, well then you're not assigning personhood, but you don't know when a person is a person. So
At birth.
I don't like.
No,
I don't understand.
I know when. I know when.
When?
At birth.
At birth, that's what makes them a person at birth, and not the day before birth.
The act of birth.
Yeah. What
being
about that act suddenly gives them the same qualia that they did not have the day before?
Being born into the world to exist as a person. No longer.
You're still in the world. What do you mean? You're still in the world.
Once they cut the cord, you're not physically a
so
part
the
of the
umbilical
mother's
cord
body.
is the distinction between a person?
No, that was more of a.
So
more
what
of a
is the
figurative
distinct?
thing.
What makes him a person? Nothing.
I've already said it was arbitrary.
So what makes him a person is you made it that's what makes him a person.
I mean, yeah. Honestly, a lot of the things
All
in
right.
law, you do have to make up some sort of distinction.
Just want to make sure we're clear.
Before we move on to a different topic.